Hello everybody, I am Baltmatrix and welcome to the video review of Star Optimus Prime from Transformers Age of the Primes. We're going to start off this review by taking a look at the box because I think the box is really nice. Now at the time of this video, several figures are already out. There's Solus, there's Quintus out in Canada, there's Vector, there's Prima, the Fallen or Megatronus, and Onyx. Most of those figures are already out. Some of them are not, and some of them are only out in Canada. Curse you, Canada! Now, on social media, I already put a picture up of these wonderful renders. I don't think these are the final renders because we've already seen Prima get his head changed, but they are pretty good. And yes, I am just as curious as you as to what Quintus, who is right here, is going to transform into. But I do have it on good authority that this is its alt mode. All joking aside, I have no idea. Liege Maximo, I have a feeling it's going to turn into a bug of some sort. But otherwise, yeah, that's really cool. I really want wallpaper of this for my computer. But the thing that irks me to no end is this image of Star Optimus. That's not what the figure looks like. In fact, you know what that looks like? It looks like a version of the smaller Power Master Prime from, I think it was Fans Hobby? But enough talking about the box. Here is Star Optimus Prime in all his glory. I think Hasbro and Takara really should be proud of themselves. They did an excellent job of capturing Star Convoy in this mold. It's big, it's very simple in terms of paint and molding, but it works incredibly well. God, I love that head sculpt. It's an incredibly good head sculpt and very, very, very accurate to the character and the overall aesthetic. I love the Gundam crest or Gundam antenna he's got going. It can move side to side. It can even headbang a little, which I find funny. The one thing to be wary of is his antenna. These are actually separate accessories that pop off on little hinges, and then they pop right back on. I have no idea why, because they're not used for anything. Now, in terms of accessories, the figure comes with this little Hot Rodimus figure, which is very cool. We'll take a look at that in a minute. It comes with this big blaster effect, which pegs into the main gun, which he is currently holding right now. This other secondary gun that he can hold using an adapter and is used in his base modes. A whole bunch of blast effects. And for some reason, my figure came with 2 sets of directions. Star Optimus comes with 2 accessories that are stored in the figure's shins. The first of which is this large container truck that pegs in very tightly and is not the easiest thing to get out of his shins once it's in there. Though I do feel like I'm having to be a little bit careful simply because the plastic on the legs is super thin. I mean, look at that. That is some thin plastic. But on the other shin is this adapter piece. This is the adapter piece I was talking about earlier. The figure comes with these 2 shoulder cannons that just pop off and on, and he can wield them or hold them in his fists. And then inside of his chest, behind these little wheels, is the Zone. It's so tiny! And the figure also comes with this weird little plastic bullet for some reason. Star Optimus can hold his little Zone Matrix thingy in his hand, but it's so freaking small compared to the rest of him. It's just weird. If it was twice the size, I think it would be cooler. Now let's take a look at the little black truck. It's got a ramp that folds down, and you can store Hot Rodimus or Hot Rod in here, and unfortunately it doesn't have a launching gimmick, but it does have a gimmick where the front pops off, and then these turrets are supposed to flip around, and then it becomes a gun embankment like that. Now on mine, these turrets are in here super tight because they peg in to those little peg holes right there. But a little bit of brute force never hurt anybody, and then you get this. And what else can you do with this? Well, you can put Hot Rod on top. Now, Hot Rod's transformation is super easy, so simply disconnect the sides of the vehicles and from them, and then fold them down. Take the front of the vehicle mode, fold it down. Take the back of the vehicle mode, fold it back and around. And then these little things that you might think are feet fold in to give the figure some stability. And then he can stand up just fine. And this is a Legends or Legions class figure. You know, like Starscream and Soundwave and all those tiny little figures we got over the past few years. Yeah, same size. Once you have the turret up there, you can put Hot Rod behind the turret, and then you've got this little gun in the front, and it's a little box of destruction on wheels. It's cute. However, it does look significantly better once you add some blast effects. Now, the granddaddy of blast effects that this figure comes with is this giant thing. It's about the same length as Megatron or TM2 Megatron's breath. One, it can be turned into a sword. Simply add this little piece to the bottom of it and then attach it to his hand, and you have yourself a big honking blue sword thing. The other thing it's supposed to be for is for his gun, which it pegs into the front of, and I think this looks worlds better than it as a sword. Sword trick is nice, but I think this is what we're going for. Yeah, big bangs. And speaking of big bangs, here is Optimus with a bunch of his own pieces added. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. Definitely is more dynamic than I thought it was going to be. The other thing you could do is detach the shoulder cannons, and he can hand carry them in use. That's pretty easy to pull off. However, the one thing or one complaint I have with these little cannons is the barrels are too close to each other, and you need the long, thin pieces like this in order to be able to use blast effects on both barrels. Star Optimus's hands do open and close, but all of the weapons are supposed to go into this little hole in the side in his palm, which does limit things a bit, but once you have something in there, it's not going to fall out, thankfully. Unfortunately, his hands aren't big enough to hold other swords, specifically from something like Mini Force. They just have a tendency to fall out or just kind of sit there limply. Now, I would love to be able to give you folks a better set of size comparisons than what I'm about to show you, but unfortunately, I am very limited in my recording space because I am currently having a complete HVAC redo and reinstalled tomorrow. So I'm very limited in the number of figures that I can grab, and my recording space is kind of a mess right now. So I'm recording in my bedroom in the jankiest way possible. The sheer size difference between last year's Titan and this year's Titan should not be underestimated. Yes, Star Optimus comes with a ton more accessories, but man, it is so much smaller than Tidal Wave. It's not even funny. Now, sheer size aside, I do have to give this figure credit. It is very poseable. Head is on a swivel at the base of the neck, and then it can headbang forward for bits of the transformation. Shoulders are on ratchets, forward and back, and then ratchets in and out. Elbows, ratcheted, and then there is a swivel at the bicep. Fists have hinges for the fingers, and then swivels for the wrists. Torso is ratcheted. Legs are ratcheted and can kick all the way back and can kick almost 90 degrees forward, and then it can kick 90 degrees out. There is a thigh swivel that is not ratcheted. Knees can almost do 90 degrees, and then the feet are on ankle rockers that, well, they don't go 90, but that's perfectly fine. So for a Titan class figure, this thing pretty darn poseable, which I like a lot. Okay, now we've taken a look at the robot mode and its accessories and all of that fun stuff. Now, let's talk about some things that I really don't like. Now, the first thing that I don't like is the light piping. It is there. It sort of works. Sort of. But you need an incredibly powerful light source just beaming into those slits on the top of his head. And even then, it doesn't work all that well. It's not even showing up on camera. It is working in person, though. The other thing that I absolutely hate have to do with the bits back here. These pieces that are the treads. Just like the original figure, they come off and they're only held on by this single long friction clip, and they pop off way too easily. During the course of this filming this review, they have popped off like 4 or 5 times. The other thing I don't like are these panels. When you transform them or try to move them, they just snap off. They all snap back on very easily, but like the rest of the leg components, they're very, very soft plastic, which I do not like. And speaking of soft plastic, you saw earlier how thin these empty boxes of lower legs are. That travels through the rest of the figure because the rest of the figure is really light for its size. Enough whining and moaning about things. Let's get into the transformation. Transformation for the size for this figure, it's actually pretty simple, but it's very satisfying. To start off with, we're going to take the arms, straighten these bad boys out, and then come down to the fists. There is a panel underneath the forearm. Pop that open, push the fist down on the slider, turn it 90 degrees backwards, then push it again on the slider, turn that again 90 degrees, and then push it up until it snaps into place. And then close it up and do the same thing on the other side. So open the panel and push it down, turn it 90-ish, push it forward as far as it'll go, rotate it around, and then slide it up until it pops into place, and then close it up. Great. Now, take the elbows and bend them backwards, like this, and just leave the arms like that. And come down to the legs and smush the legs together. A lot harder to do than you might think because the ratchets in the actual hips are tight enough that they don't want to collapse sometimes. And then make sure the legs are perfectly straight. Then turn the entire torso around like that. And when you're transforming the figure, make sure that your backdrop doesn't get stuck between the toes. All right, come to the chest. Pop the chest open, fold it all the way down. Take these wheel sections and fold them out. Then take the head and flip it around and into the chest. Then take the shoulders and unpeg them and fold them up just a little bit, maybe about halfway. Take these wheels, fold them out, flip up these little red pieces, and you can continue folding the shoulders up to get out of the way of those. Then take the chest and close it. This is the worst part of the transformation for me because of this chest. This whole piece is very thin plastic, and these tabs need to peg into these tab slots underneath the head. And if the head is not fully all the way in, you heard it snap, these tabs will not line up. And even when they line up, it requires some force to get pushed in or down and then in. So it's really unpleasant. Next, come up to the shoulders and take these pieces with the Autobot symbol and flip them down, and then fold the shoulders all the way up and combine them together. And then there are these tabs on either side that will tab into these pieces that have the wheels on them, like that. And we're almost done. And we're almost done the transformation. For the next part, take this gray piece that is on the back and fold it down, and then flip out these gray hinges, fold it all the way down, and it will peg into place, and then just fold up these on the sides. Then come to the gray pieces that I mentioned earlier and pull them out like this. But first, open up the shins like so. Take the crotch guard and fold it out, and then close these up, and these will actually peg in to these slots right here. And then we could take these and fold them up and peg them into the sides of what were the hips. You can see these two little buttons. They will peg in to these two right here, like so. Oh, and lastly, fold the toes down like that. And here we have Star Optimus Prime's alt mode in all of its giant glory. This is definitely an alt mode, for sure. Good Lord, is it long. The length of this thing is just silly. It just is. And it's very plain, like incredibly plain. They could have had a couple more stickers and a couple of more bits of bobs of paint on here. That would not have hurt them. It's just weird. It's very brickish. I mean, it's definitely Star Convoy, for sure. I do like the front of the vehicle mode. That looks very cool. And I'm trying to work with the stupidity of my little backdrop here. Yeah, it's cool. It is. This whole section is meant to turn in the comic, but in reality, it's just one giant brick, which is a shame. Yeah, Tidal Wave is a giant brick. A lot of the Titans, you know what? A lot of the Titans transform into a form of a brick or of some form of brick. That's really funny. Now, to properly arm the figure up, you've got the cannons in the front, you've got his big hand cannon on the middle of the back, and then at the tail end, you've got that little cannon, or the double barrel cannon. In terms of size, or total length, this thing is big. The only Optimus I could think of that even comes close is Commander Class Armada Optimus. And if I line them up in the back, you can see that Star Optimus is just way, way bigger. Holy moly, that's so much bigger. In this mode, it's just unwieldy. It can't turn. It's just a solid brick. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Die Voyager. That's what this thing reminds me of. More than anything else, it reminds me of Die Voyager from Bokenger, or Operation Overdrive, but I don't remember what the Megazord's name is. It's a big, it's bulky, and it's motorized. Well, this one isn't. The original one was. Now, this thing also has a base mode, and I am going to admit flat out right up front, I do not like the base mode. I think it's bad, but I'd be remiss if I didn't show it to you. To start off with, come to the back and unpeg the shins and fold them open all the way. And come underneath and pop off the treads like that. Then come to the sides and flip up these gray pieces, fold them all the way up like you're transforming the figure into robot mode. Come to the sides and grab these panels and unpeg them. And actually it might help just getting these up and out of the way like this. Take the crotch skirt armor, fold it up, and then grab the entire torso section at the hips and fold it up like this. And at the very back of the keister, there's this peg or blue piece you unpeg, and this becomes a stand like this. It just sits the figure up and holds it up in place. Then we turn the whole bloody thing around and make sure that these gray pieces fold forward, and then they are supposed to be able to peg underneath on those side skirts. They're little like, not divots, but peg holes right there that these will peg into. And if you don't have everything lined up, then they won't peg in, but just make sure that the legs are actually straight. That's really important. Take the entire upper front section and turn it, untransform it like this. Fold out the chest, flip up the head. Now there are two things we can do. The first is the first base mode, which involves Star Optimus Prime practically just transforming back into half of his robot mode, oddly enough. To transform the treads, come to the back and flip out these gray pieces, turn the thing upside down, and flip out these panels that are really hard to get open. Sometimes I just have to break the figure in half and get my fingernail in there. And then grab the tread. There's a little piece you could grab right here on the outside of the tread and fold that all the way up like so. And we'll just do the same thing on the other side. Fold that panel out, grab the tread and split it in half and fold it up, and then smush these two together and grab yourself that double barrel thingy and put that, or flip it out and pull it up here, because this will become a rotating gun turret. Whee! And then there is this little peg hole right here, and that will peg into the peg hole or peg that's coming off the back there. So there we go. And then you can come to what were the heels and fold down these areas. So, and these will peg in, or can peg into, any of the other, You know, from the last couple of lines, you had figures that transformed into bases and had those little bridges on them. That's what these can connect to. Now, on either side of the shin, when you fold them out, there's a little peg and a little slot. That will fit in that peg hole, and the slot, that peg will fit in there. So we could just fold that up and peg it into place. And yes, I did just leave the zone or zodiac or whatever the hell they call it right here on the outside. I just left it there. And here is base mode 1. Now, obviously, we've got Rodimus on the shoulder, or not the shoulder, but the arm. Yes, that is what the directions say to do. And I have this, but that's not in the first base mode. It's part of the second base mode. I don't care. I'm just putting it there now. This looks so stupid. I'm sorry. This looks ridiculous. I don't hate it, but it is very silly. And yes, the original figure had it. I know. I would be annoyed if this new incarnation didn't have it either. Now, the second base mode is probably the one that I like the best. It is definitely the dumbest. So to get into the second base mode, all you do is add that thing, the little box car to it, and then come to the Prime, open up his chest, fold out these wheels, put Hot Rod inside, just sitting there. And yes, he does fit in there with no problem. And then take the head and, not that. You want the head to fold forward like that. That's it. That's the only difference. Though I do have to admit, Hot Rod looks real cozy in there. Now, for those of you wondering, yes, you can replace the Zone core with Hot Rod. I find that very, very ironic. The question at the end of the day, is Titan-class Star Optimus Prime worth it? You know what? I think so. Yes, he is ridiculously expensive for what he is, but I have a feeling it's going to go on sale at some point. I do really like this figure, though. It's fun, the transformation is satisfying, and overall, it's just a darn cool, neat figure, and I want to see us get more Japanese figures. Like, we've gotten Victory Saber, we got Deathsaurus, we've gotten this guy. I would love to see a Violin Jaeger. I would love to see a Diatlas. I would love to see more of those obscure Japanese figures. Because, good lord, the fans would eat that up, and that could potentially be very, very cool. So, folks, this has been my look at Star Optimus Prime from the Age of the Primes toy line. I like it. I do. I think it's fun. I think it's worth picking up. Maybe not at the current asking price. If it goes on sale in a couple of months, yeah, definitely pick it up then. Thank you for watching my video. Let me know what you think of Star Optimus Prime down in the comments. I have been Baltmatrix, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.